You make a neder on an intangible thing. Sleep is intangible. This time we're making a shavua. And all of these are bli neder, of course. Shvua she'eni yashan, I swear I will not sleep. She'eni medaber, I swear I will not speak. I can't make that one, even bli neder. She'eni mahalech, I swear I will not walk. Usser. All of those are valid shvuos, and therefore sleeping, speaking, or perambulating are forbidden. Now, what if I say, now we're back to nidarim again. Kainem lo echol lecha. By a korban, I won't eat from you. Or I say, ha korban she'echol lecha. Again, by the life of a korban, we're going to understand that to mean I won't eat from you. Or I make a double negative, lo korban lo ochel lecha. By not a korban, I'm not going to eat from you. None of those are valid nidarim, and the halacha is mutter. You're still allowed to eat by the person about whom you said those things. Okay, Mani Masnisen. So who is the author of this Mishnah? By process of elimination, we have to say Rebbe Meir. It has to be Rebbe Meir, because we learned earlier that Reb Meir said Korban sha'achol lecha is valid. Okay, so when he says ha-korban, it's not valid. Okay, the Rebbe Yehuda, if you wanted to position this Mishnah as having been authored by or in accordance with the view of Rebbe Yehuda, lo shani le korban velo shani le ha-korban. Rebbe Yehuda does not make a distinction, we learned earlier, with prefixes on the word korban. La korban, ha korban, big korban, kick korban. He thought all of those were fine. But okay, so therefore the Mishnah can't be Rebbe Yehuda. It has to be Rebbe Meir. Amos Seifa. But let's look at the last statement in the Mishnah. La korban, la achal lecha. Mutter, if you make the double negative, la korban, remember, la korban means low korban, le korban does not. If he says la korban or low korban, lo achal lecha, it's mutter, it's perfectly fine. Can that be Reb Meir? For Hatanan, we learned earlier, la korban la ochel lecha, Rebbe Meir oiser. Rebbe Meir does not worry about the diktuk of the double negative. And he accepts lo korban lo ochel lecha. So look at the last line of the Mishnah. Be Rebbe Meir lo kasha. Not a problem. Okay. Oh, I skipped. Korban la'achal lecha Rebbe Meir. He said in a previous, we learned to go 3 days ago that it's not. The Rebbe Meir would say that's a valid neder. V'yomer Rababa. So Rababa explains nase ke'omer. We fill in the blanks by adding words to the sentence. Now, you don't actually have to add the words, but our comprehension of this statement as if the words have been added. L'korban yehe, this, your food, I'm treating as if it was sanctified food. It was going to become a korban. And then you add the word lefikach, therefore la'ochel lecha. So that's how Reb Meir can, in the previous Mishnah, say that it is a valid shvua, but over in our Mishnah, since it spells out lo korban, we don't add the lefikach, and Reb Meir is not fighting with Reb Meir. So Gemara says there's a lo kasha. It's also still not a problem. Hada Amar la korban. In the previous Mishnah, we said la korban with a patach, and we understood that as a one-word thing, meaning it could mean li, like it's a shva, like a korban, or it could mean lo korban. And Rav Abba said that Reb Meir does not consider it two words, lo korban, and therefore he considers it acceptable as a neder and ushers the stuff. But in this Mishnah, where if you look at it, it says lo, it actually spells out lo korban lo ochel. Here and you're not guessing, is it two words or one? Here it's stipulated it's two words. Hada Amar lo korban. Here it's clear that it's two words. V'lo have korban ka Amar. So you're saying Reuven's food is not a korban to me, and I'm not eating from it. So it's a double negative, and I can eat from it. And that's the end of that. Okay? Next Mishnah. If I make the following statement, Shvua lo ochel lecha, I swear I will not eat from your food. Or ha shvua she'ochel lecha, or I make the statement ha shvua, behold, I'm making an oath, she'ochel lecha, regarding your food. Now, I'm translating it that way intentionally. Art Scroll, I think, doesn't translate it. It just says she'ochel lecha. And lo shvua v'lo echel lecha, or I say, lo shvua, this is not an oath. Lo ochel lecha, I'm not going to eat from you. Even though it's a double negative, it's not a neder, it's a shavua. And the Mishnah says it's usher. Okay, which is obviously going to create some problems, which we're going to have to resolve. Okay, so miklal. So we infer the ha shvua she'ochel lecha, that the positive statement, behold, a shvua, I'm making an oath regarding your food. That's a positive statement. I could be easily, this is my own words, I could easily be saying, wow, your food is fabulous. I didn't say anything negative. However, the law achilna mashma, the Mishnah assumes that you have to imply the negative, and such a statement means that I ain't eating your grub. Right? So we're implying, since he made a shvua, people do not normally make a shvua, I swear I'm going to eat Reuven's food. They normally make a shvua, I swear I'm not going to eat Reuven's food. His wife's food's delicious, but his can't cook. Okay? So So we're making the inference that it's a negative, even though it's stated in the positive. For Ramina, but I can challenge that. Shavua shtai, and now we're going to go through a lima, just like that. There are two psukim in the Torah that explicitly tell us about shvuos. And both of those psukim use future tense verbs. We may infer, we may do a limud from those psukim that past tense words are also possible for shvuos. All right. So, where am I? Okay. Okay. Shvua shtayim shehein arba. The Torah talks about two oaths that I can develop by a limud into four oaths. She'oichel v'shelo ochel. I will not eat, or I will eat, but I'm not going to, but the art school doesn't translate it. She'ochel, regarding your food, or shelo ochel, or I will not eat your food. Those are the future tense, and those are spelled out in the Torah. She'ochalti v'shelo ochalti, regarding your food, but in the past tense, or that I did not eat your food in the past tense. Those are limudim. Okay, midika amar shelo ochel. Since the Torah first says she'ochel, okay, and then it says shelo ochel, that which is the negative. So the implication would be she'ochalti v'shelo ochalti, that I ate past tense or that I did not eat past tense. So miklal the she'ochal lecha ta'achilna mashma. So since it says, uses the term that I will eat, that I will not eat, that I ate, that I will not eat, that I did not eat, al pi pashtus, one is positive and one is negative.
I will eat. That doesn't mean I won't eat. That's the worst cash.
How can you make a past tense?
I swear I didn't take your cookie.
Okay.
Your cookies disappeared. I've got the chocolate all over my mouth, but I swear I didn't take a cookie from the cookie jar. All right, I would have to bring a korban for that. All right, Michlal she'ochel lecha ta'achilna mashma. So the simple word she'ochal is a positive. I will eat.
I will eat.
That's because, okay, the achilna, that I will eat mashma, is how I have to understand it. Okay, so that now contradicts the Mishnah. If you look back at the Mishnah, shavua sha'achal lecha is a negative, and we imply the negative, and we don't let you eat the food anymore. So Omar Abaya tries to explain that words can have multiple meanings based on context. Sha'achal shtei l'shonos mashma. The word sha'achal could have more than one meaning because the prefix she'achal could mean she'i achel. I will not eat. And he just slurs it into a contraction like do not and becomes don't in English, right? Now, and he's going to give us a scenario in which you make the positive statement, but it is clear from the circumstance that he means a negative. Hayu misorbin by la'achal. Somebody's twisting Ruvain's arm, trying to force him to eat something. Va'omer, achilna, v'su shavua sha'achel. I'll eat it, I swear I'll eat it. Okay, so what does that mean? That he will definitely eat it, right? That's the implication there. Oh, Avo, he says instead, Lo achilna, v'su omar shavua sha'ochel. He says, I won't eat it, I swear about eating it. So there, he means I don't care how much you squeeze, I don't care how much you twist, you could break my arm if you want, but I ain't eating it. So the exact same words have two meanings depending on his inflection of how he says it.
I don't know what's the inflection or it's the content
Well, it's both. It's
the
the context, right? Okay, and I think also inflection. You know, you look great in that dress, honey. What?
You're gonna eat that?
Right. exact. That's why I'm using inflection to make it easier in English to understand. Rav Ashi Omer she'ochel deshvua. When you use the word she'ochel regarding a shavua, she'i ochel ka'amar, it's that he's making a contraction of two words, she'i ochel, and he says she'ochel. Okay, again, like do not and don't in English. And it clearly, she'i ochel ka'amar, it obviously means I will not eat it. So that's Rav Ashi. So the Gemara challenges Rav Ashi, eat imkain, if that's what you're telling me. Pshita. That's so incredibly obvious. What do you need a Mishnah to explain it for? Mila Memra. What is the Mishnah coming to tell us new? So that's okay. So now Rav Ashi answers, Mahu Desema, what might you have said? Make him lishnahu. He sort of slurred his word. The it kill lay, and he was not speaking clearly. So when he meant to say, I promise I'll eat it, he actually said, I won't eat it, or the vice versa. Kamash Malan. So the Mishnah comes to tell us that if he slurs his words and it comes out, that he's committing not to eat. Even though he started out to say sho.
I made a mistake.
Correct. That's what everybody heard. And he was talking about food. And we were twisting his arm. So the whole picture taken as an entity, he winds up committing not to eat. Okay? So now we had Abaya and Rav Ashi both give two explanations of why what apparently is an affirmative word is treated as a negative. Why do they disagree? And in other words, why do we need both? Okay, Abaya Omar Tam Rabbi Ashi. Abaya does not give the same rationale as Rav Ashi. The lo katani she'i ochal, because if you look at the words in the Mishnah, it's very pretty to say it's a contraction, but that's not what it doesn't say. She'i ochel has two words. It says she'ochel. Concerning eating, it's a simple word. It has a simple meaning. V'Rav Ashi, node min tam dabaye, and Rav Ashi is unwilling or incapable of accepting Rabbi's explanation, because he holds that it does have two meanings. Shelo ochel nami mashma shtei l'shonos. That the word could be interpreted either way, depending on context. Now, how do we explain that over? Somebody's twisting Ruvain's arm, trying to force him to eat Bob's cookie. And he says, Lo achilna? Lo achilna? I'm not going to eat it. I'm not going to eat it. Stop twisting. I need that hand to pick it up and eat it. And there it's clearly inflection is a factor. Ben she'achel, ben shelo achel. And then no matter what he says, when he makes the shvua, what did it? Aden achil nemashmed. What did I go? Oh, ben she'achel, ben shelo achel. When he makes the shvua, using low or not losing low. Okay. Hadain achil namashma de omer. It's clear from the context and from his inflection that he's committing to eat it if you'll only let go of his hand so he can pick it up and eat it. Ve'ika terutza nami lishna shavua shala ochel. And you could also explain the other way around, that when you say an oath that I will not eat is simply Shavua Shelo Achil Nakomar, an oath that I will not eat. So if I say I won't eat it, that's one thing. And if I say I won't eat it, that's a totally different meaning. And it's the exact same words. Ella Tana Piska. So the Tana of a Mishnah elsewhere, I think in Shavuos, resolves this kind of what about the context? Can yes mean no? And it depends on what is. He resolves it like this. Sha'ochel da'achilna mashma. Forget your contractions. The word sha'ochel is a positive turn. It means he will eat. Shelo ochel, lo ochel mashma. He will not eat always means he will not eat. And you can't chachma any chachmas. All right? Next Mishnah. We had this concept earlier. We picked this up earlier. We're repeating it now. There is an aspect to a shavua where it is more stringent than a neder. And there's an aspect in which a neder is more stringent than a shavua. Okay, Ketzad. So how does that work? Now we're going to have to hold cup because Sid is going to get very upset with the next statement, because we've learned that you can't make either a neder or on something that's not allowed. In other words, if God says you have to do it, you can't make a neder, you won't. And if God says you can't do it, you can't make a neder that you won't, because it's right, you can't use that as the basis. So Sid's going to get upset over here. Omer koinem sukkah sha'ani oisa. I make a konem neder regarding the sukkah I'm making. What you mean by that is I'm not going to go sit in the sukkah. Okay? Or I say konem lulav shani noitel. I'm making a konem neder regarding waving around the arba minim. Or I make a koinem neder tefillin sha'ani maniach regarding the tefillin that I put on. Those things, b'nedarim oser. If you use a neder formula, according to this Mishnah, you may not sit in a sukkah. You may not. No, a sukkah. There actually is another text that uses a different word, but it does not. The neder is not narrowly defined as this particular canvas and nettle pole sukkah that I'm setting up in my backyard. I won't sit in, but I'll go to Avrami's wood sukkah. That's not what it means. It means it's a global neder. I'm not sitting in a sukkah this year. But that's just the formula. Okay, and the reason it's agav urcha, some want to say that this is teaching us agav urcha, that it's a mitzvah to assemble a sukkah of your own, not to rely on the shul sukkah. Okay, that's why it uses the word aseh here. Okay, so if it's in a shavua form, you can't put on tefillin, you can't sit in a sukkah, and you can't take arba minim. Okay, but Shavuos, if it's a Shavua formulation, it's mutter, you can. I swear I won't sit in a sukkah, that's meaningless. I swear I won't wave a lulav around, that's meaningless. I swear I won't put on tefillin tomorrow morning. Well, if my alarm doesn't go off, maybe I won't make it to minyan, but I'll still put the tefillin on at home. It's also meaningless. And the Mishnah and the Gemara says mutter. The shvuas are meaningless. Why? she'ein nishboin la'avor al mitzvahs. You're not allowed to make a shvua that you won't do something that God said you must do. Okay, now we said similarly earlier, if we recall, about Nidorim. So we're going to get into this. If you say, I will not sleep with my wife anymore, bli neder, you can't, that would not be valid because you can't take away an obligation. But if you were to say, I'm not able to have any, I swear I will have no, I make a neder, that I will not have any hana from bedding my wife, then it's on me. That's okay. You could do that. And then if you recall, we learned that would be the Rabbanan, and you get Marcus Mardis for that. It's because they even though it's the Torah doesn't allow you, the rabbis allowed you, we learned, so that you don't throw shvuas around cavalierly. We punish you on a rabbinic level. So that's just a little background there. So Chomer, but now here's a new problem. If I say this is more Chomer than that, then on a scale of 1 to 10, the more Chomer thing is, say, a 9, and the less Chomer thing is, say, a 5, right? This is more stringent than that. Okay? Chomer miklal the noderhu. So the saying that the shvua is more chomer than the neder implies that the neder has some validity, has some standing. But we learned earlier that it doesn't. So that's an awkward wording. So Gemara, okay, so v'hu muter katani, but the Mishnah said, if I say chai korban by a korban, I won't eat your food, it's not a valid neder. And that was the archetype we were dealing with. So how can you tell me that something is more stringent than something that doesn't exist? That makes no sense. That's illogical. So, Aseifa de Iduch Bava Katani. Our Mishnah is going, when it talks about the Chamira is going all the way back to yesterday. Shavua she'eni yashan she'eni medaber she'eni mahalech is asur. If I make a shvua that I won't sleep, that I won't talk, that I won't walk, those are asur. Okay. And we said, Zechomer shavuas midinidorim, those are more stringent than the same statements with regard to nidorim, because when it came to nidorim, if you recall, I can't use that kind of a formulation. I have to say, I'm making a neder, my eyes will not close in sleep. They have to make a neder on something that has mamashis. You can't make a neder on something intangible, but a shvua you can. Okay? And then we had the issue of being v'yachel, violating Tevoro midrabanan, because those shvuas are not valid. But nonetheless, we make you matir neder, or we make you get malchus mardus by a rabbinic level. Now, the Mishnah goes on. Chomer b'nedarim me b'shavuos ketzad. What is the case? And it brings up the sitting in a sukkah case. Okay, Rav Kahana Masne Omer Rav Gidl Omer Rav. Rav Kahana is going to tell us something Rav Gidl says, and Agavorcha, he tells us Rav Gidl got it from Rav. Rav Tavyume Masne Omer Rav Gidl Omer Shmuel, he teaches the same memra from Rav Gidl, but he says Rav Gidl is quoting Shmuel. And the memra goes like this: Minayin she'ein nishba'in la'over al hamitzvah. Where is there a pasuk that tells me I'm not allowed to make a shvua to undo something that is a mitzvah that I'm obligated to do from God? Talmud Lomar, he quotes the pasuk, Lo Yachel Devoroi. Okay, and I emphasize the vav there, Devoroi, because Devoroi Lo Yachel. You can't violate your personal word. Okay, Aval Mechalhu Lachapse Shemayim. But if you don't have any other choice, you have to quote, violate, unquote, your word, or violate God's word, then you violate yours and you do what God told you to do. That's the pasuk he cites. Okay, the problem is, if you remember, we've been citing this pasuk frequently, and that's really an Adorim pasuk. That's not a Shavua pasuk. So my shna neder, what's so special about a neder that you can't make a neder to undo a mitzvah? That you can. It's valid, but you don't not allowed to fill it. Therefore, you get malchus. It's valid on a rabbinic level. Okay, dichsiv ish ki yider neder lashem. When a person makes a neder to avoid something for God's sake, okay, lo yachel devaro, then he cannot violate his word. He cannot profane, or desecrate, however you want to translate it. Okay, shvuanami. There's another pasuk that keeps going, the same pasuk really. V'haksiv, oh, hishva shavua lashem, or you an oath to God. Lo yachel devaro, you can't violate your word. So therefore, I might learn lo yishba shvuas lashem lo yachel devaro. If I swear an oath to Hashem, I won't desecrate my word. The fact that it has the whole thing twice with 4 oath words, maybe I can make an oath regarding not sitting in a sukkah or not putting on tefillin. Abaya Omer, he explains it. Hada Omar, this is the format. And I mentioned this at the beginning. The format in which you would have to make that neder would be ha carbon da Omer hana'a sukkah alai. I am making kainem the utilization, giving me some benefit of sitting in a sukkah. Okay? Or ha'omer shavua shalo ahane min sukkah. Or I make a shavua that I swear I will not sit in a sukkah because it benefits me. Okay? So there, I'm not talking now about the sukkah. I'm talking about me. Okay? I swear I won't sit in a sukkah. The subject.
A sukkah because God said you have to, but you can't get a benefit from it.
That's the habamina. Okay?
You're not negating God's word. You're negating.
Right. So the Gemara then immediately points out mitzvah is lav nehenesheim. You definitionally, you can't benefit from a mitzvah. Okay? Omer Rava, v'chi mitzvos lehanos nitnu. Did God give us mitzvahs to give us pleasure? God didn't do that. He gave us mitzvahs to give him pleasure, or to give us a code by which to restrict our behavior to the straight and narrow. Ella Omar Rava. So Rava rejects that the formula of the neder is on the hana of the mitzvah. And Ella Omar Rava suggests alternatively, Hada Omar, Yeshiva Sukkah Alai. He makes a vow saying that being present in a sukkah is, I'm kainem on that. Okay, and therefore you can't be in the sukkah. Hada Omar Shavua Shalo Ashev Besukkah, or he makes a vow saying, I swear I won't sit in a sukkah. And now they go back to these psukim. Now remember, you still have to sit in a sukkah. Okay, in those cases, you still have to sit in the sukkah, but you get punished to an extent. Okay. She'en nishboin la'over al hamitzvahs mehacha nafkale, but we learned that you cannot. The oath doesn't work if it violates a mitzvah. Is that what we learn? Mehasam nafkale. We learn it from a different pasuk. The Sanya, we have a brisa that brings another pasuk. Yachol nishba lavatel es mitzvah. I might think I can make an oath that will cancel a mitzvah. Velo betel, and then I do the mitzvah anyway, and I don't cancel the oath. In other words, I violate the oath by performing the mitzvah I swore I wouldn't do. Yachol yehe chayiv. I might think that I'm chayiv to bring a korban, to bring a chatas. Okay, that would be what I might think. So Talmud Lomar, we have yet another pasuk. The pasuk says that if you make an oath, you have to fulfill it. Lahara or lahaitiv, whether it's you're doing something not good or you're doing something good, you have to fulfill your vow rather than be over bal yachel, violating your word. Mahata. Now, when I say I make an oath, like, all right, I used when we were learning. I swear, Reuven bli neder, I'll take you and Susan to the airport. So now I have to fulfill that oath because that's a good thing. I get him to the airport so he can fly off. Or Reuven calls me at 1 a.m. and says, my Uber never showed up. I'm stuck in Fort Lauderdale Airport. And I say, tough noogies. And I roll over and go to sleep and leave him stranded there. I swear I'm not getting out of bed to take you. So that would be Lara. But in both cases, it's not a mitzvah involved. All right, it's a reshus. I can choose to, or I could choose not to in both cases. So Talmud Lomer lahara ulahetiv ma hatava reshus, just as meeting your commitment where it has a good result is nonetheless a reshus item. You can do it or not do it. Nobody tells you you have to. Okay, afhara reshus. So similarly, we have to be consistent. And the negative thing also has to be a reshus issue. Okay. And therefore, Yaitse Nishba Levatel es a mitzvah, velo bitel. So you exclude from the possibility of having the punishment of a chatas if you swear I won't put on tefillin and then you put on tefillin. She'en harishus biyado. That's not a toss-up. That's an obligatory thing you have to do from God. So now we got to understand, why did we have the psukim that have Yider Neder and Shavua, those double words that we learned all this stuff from. And now we have this other pasuk, Lahara Ulahitiv. Why do we need both psukim? Chad Kara Lemiftere Me Carbon Shavua. One pasuk would exempt you from having to bring a chatas if you violate your shvua. V'chad lemiftere min lav de shvua, and the other pasuk comes to eliminate being punished from the lav of not keeping your shvua, not violating, but keeping. This subtle difference, and that would be Malchus. And we'll pick up tomorrow, Bli Neder. So if you just learn Mishnayos, there's no sense whatsoever.